With only 3 days to explore and discover from Key Largo to Key West, I knew I had a lot of ground to cover, and the first stop on my Florida Keys exploration was to check out the Coral Restoration Foundation in Key Largo. The Coral Restoration Foundation is a nonprofit conservation organization dedicated to creating offshore nurseries and restoration programs for threatened coral.
So this might be a silly question, but I know not everybody watching knows that coral is actually a living animal. So can you tell us exactly what is coral?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people think it's a rock or they think it's a plant.
Yep.
But you're absolutely right. It is a living animal, and it's very small. So when you're looking at a stand of staghorn coral, for example, or a brain coral, you're seeing probably millions of polyps is what they're called, and they kind of look like jellyfish. They've got tentacles, and they live in a little cup structure, and they lay down a calcium carbonate skeleton over time. So that's how you get the structure of the reef. These little tiny microscopic animals are building, the largest biological thing that can be seen from space.
So that's why if you brush your knee or something against coral, it might sting a little bit after?
It's mostly the hard structure of the coral that hurts, but for example, fire coral, they have more severe stinging cells, and that will hurt you pretty bad.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
During my tour of the Florida Keys, I'm staying at the Casa Morada in Isla Morada, which is indeed a perfect resort destination. Tucked away on a quiet side street, Casa Morada is a boutique hotel situated right next to the ocean in the middle of the Florida Keys. With Caribbean-infused decor and setting, the resort offers spacious upscale suites that are the perfect combination of luxury and serenity. These king-size rooms have separate living rooms with a day bed that can sleep an additional adult, and each has a private balcony or terrace. The ground floor terraces open out to the central garden. Each suite at Casa Morada has a private outdoor living space with a view of award-winning gardens or the Florida Bay. And my favorite part? Guests at the Casa Morada enjoy complimentary kayaks, paddleboards, snorkel equipment, bikes, and yoga classes. Or, if you want to simply relax, head over to the hammocks, the comfy couches, or at the poolside bar for a delicious cocktail. After a fun-filled first day of adventuring, I was starving and ready to check out the famous Loreley's, also known as the Pulse of Isla Morada. The Loreley Cabana Bar features some of the best seafood in the Florida Keys and is the perfect place to sit back, order a refreshing drink, and unwind.
This is a peanut butter and jelly buffalo wing made by Chef Jason at Loreley's. Peanut butter and jelly buffalo. And it tastes just like peanut butter jelly.
This place has breathtaking views, and the best part is the nightly entertainment. On day 2, it was rise and shine and head to the water. Since the Florida Keys is known as the sport fishing capital of the world, my mission was to do just that. Captain Jorge of Upper Keys Sport Fishing is a world-famous fisherman and captain, so I knew I was in the best hands.
Thank you so much for having me on your boat.
Welcome.
I've heard really great things, and I'd like to hear about how you got started in sport fishing.
Probably at the age of 14, started working in party boats up in North Miami Beach.
Ooh.
I would go there for the weekends, and basically no pay, just to get to go fishing and mop up the decks of the boats, and that's how I started. And then little by little, started chartering on my dad's boat. Big fish are my passion. I don't really like, the reef so much, but I love the offshore. The good thing about here is that there's offshore. You could catch mahi, tuna. The same day you could come in, catch tarpon, and you could come in and catch bonefish. I mean, and there's really not a lot of places in the world you could do that.
Woke up early this morning. Love me now.
How was the fish trip yesterday?
Amazing.
Was
the
good?
fish trip was great. The food was incredible.
Thank
Absolutely
you,
incredible.
appreciate. Thank you.
The bread was really good. You guys make the bread here?
We do it every morning. Every morning we cook it, so everything is fresh every day.
Wow, that was delicious. And the mozzarella and all the vegetables. So good. And the pastries. You make the pastries here too?
In the morning also we make the pastries. We make the gelato. We make everything. The only things we don't do is gonna be like the cakes, but we don't have any time to do it. So all the rest we try to do it every day.
Well, it's delicious.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So I prepare you all the sandwiches for today for your trip. So you have 6 different sandwiches. All of them came with the salad beside and the dressing beside. And for the morning you have those little pastries to start a good day. So
Thank you so much.
it's a pleasure.
I'm going to
Enjoy
eat this
it.
all myself.
I don't think so you're going to pass through.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice one.
Since it's impossible to keep this Chica out of the water, I started off the next day bright and early with Upper Key sport fishing, exploring the stunning ocean for some of the best snorkeling I've ever seen anywhere.
Thank you so much to Bit and Bistro and Isla Morada for providing us with this delicious sandwich spread. Can't wait to dig in.
With gaining so much appreciation for the upper and middle keys, it was time to venture south and head towards Key West. When you're driving down to Key West, there are a couple must stops. First is the Square Grouper and My New Joint.
What is a square grouper? I know what a grouper is.
A square grouper is a floating bale of marijuana.
Oh, a bale of marijuana.
Yes. So, hence, my new joint is kind of just a play on the square grouper. All of our drinks are named after marijuana, and our signature drink is called bong water.
I would love some bong water.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll put an order into the kitchen for some things I think you'll like, and I'll be back.
Great, thank you.
The second must stop is to the Big Pine Key Island, home to the National Key Deer Refuge, where the majority of the key deer population can be found.
You don't get this close to deer in New York.
As key deer are endangered, many precautions have been taken to preserve as much key deer habitat as possible.
That's crazy. I've never been that close to a deer.
And finally, we made it to Key West. Just in time for a beautiful sunset and to experience the best nightlife on the Florida Keys. It sure was exciting to explore and discover what makes the Florida Keys so unique, and I encourage you to come explore them for yourselves. A big thanks to Robert Warner from Florida Fishermen, as well as all the other incredible sponsors for making this adventure so unforgettable. I'm the Chica Travelista, and I'll see you at the next destination.